Hello and welcome to today's episode. Today we're going to be talking about how to raise a family that impacts their generation. So, kind of like proud parent moment, right? Every parent wants to be proud of their children, and you want to raise children who are not just successful but who make impact in their generation. That is so powerful because success can be defined on so many terms, right? But impact is one thing that we should all aim to have in life, because that's what really shows our uniqueness. That's where our individuality shows up. So you want to make impact, because impact comes from doing something genuine in a unique way that probably only you can deliver in the way that you delivered it. So that's what we're going to be sharing today, and I'm excited because in today's world so much is going on, and it takes a lot of intentionality to raise these kind of leaders and children that will make impact. So let's go. So one day, your children will either be a voice in their generation or an echo. The difference is in what you impart into them. We're talking about how intentional you are with raising your children. And the very first thing you want to focus on is setting the ground rules. And that means starting your family with a vision. Your family should have a vision of who you are and what you're about. I remember when I did this exercise some years back, it was very strange to me because honestly, I've not heard that anywhere, having a family vision. A lot of times as the adults in the family, you're focused on what you want to do, what you want to achieve, what you want to become. But you've forgotten that the entire family, your entire family, is existing for a purpose. You are in your own right a special unit ordained by God to deliver something to your world. As parents in that family, you are the caregivers and the guides. They are the physical guides, and the children there are the ones that you are modeling to make impact in the next generation. And here's the thing, the Bible says, without vision, without, the people perish. And that's just the truth. And perish not just in the literal term, but in the fact that there is no goal, no achievement. Like they say, if you're going nowhere, then anywhere will take you there, right? But if you have a particular place you're headed to, you need to follow a particular direction, and that's where vision comes in. If you have a vision for your family, then it helps you be disciplined on the things you do, the way you behave, the way you act, and even the direction that you take generally in life. So it's important that you set that vision. You want to ask yourself, what do I stand for as parents? These are some of the conversations you should have had when you came together as man and wife. What are we coming together for? Because believe it or not, God ordained marriage for the main reason of functionality, not relationship, not companionship as you think. There is a reason and a function that you are meant to perform or fulfill, which is why both of you came together. Let's unpack that a bit. Let me talk about that a bit. In the beginning, right, when God formed Adam and put him in the garden, he gave him work to do. I need you to tend this garden, keep it, take dominion, what. But at the point, as Adam did his work, God said, it is not good that this man should be alone. Which man? The one who's doing the work that I've assigned to him. And he needs help. He didn't just say it's not good for him to be alone. He said he needs help. He defined what exactly the person was coming to do. That company he was going to get was supposed to render him help. So it's not about, it's not good for him to be alone, let me make him a companion. That's not what he said. He said, it's not good for him to be alone, I will make him help. So the reason for the companionship is actually support. And you don't support something that is not in action. Support is meant to defend an action or to help and enable an action that is already ongoing. That's what support means. Like, if I want to carry this couch and I attempt it, then I realize I need help and somebody joins me. I'm not going to say I need help and meanwhile I'm somewhere else. I haven't even attempted to lift the house, right? So the support is given, for an action or activity that's in motion. So he was given that help to meet the need. And guess what? God didn't just go straight and create you. After saying that, what did he do? He created all the animals. Very interesting, right? He said, I'll make him help. And then he went and started creating birds, monkeys, lions. And you're like, wait, what's going on here? Because God needed to see that Adam really understood his divine assignment. Because if you understand what you're about, then not all help will be help for you. Because the direction you are going is unique to you. So you need unique help that meets your need. That's why you have no business finding help for companionship if you're not in your purpose, because you don't even know the right help for you. And it wasn't God who decided that Eve was the right person for Adam. It was Adam who decided that Eve was the right person. He could have chosen the lion because he made them, but the Bible says that he named them, but none was found as a mate for him. Adam decided, I don't have a mate here. Until God put him to sleep, made the woman and brought him. God didn't say, Adam, take your companion. He brought her, just the way he brought all the animals. And he said, oh, now this is help for me. Oh, this is bone of my bone. Oh, this is what I need. So he was able to identify the kind of help he needed because he was already in the middle of his purpose. He knew exactly what he needed to support his unique function. So I said all of that to say this, that you need to understand the vision for your family, because that determines the direction that you and the entire family will take. As a parent, a mother, a father, once you define and articulate that vision, you have it written down, it will fuel or form the foundation for all the other goals that you set as a family. And believe it or not, it starts to drive the mindsets, the behaviors, the characters that your entire family exhibits. If you know that your vision as a family is to impact the next generation, maybe you feel as the head of the family you are called to be a light or a model or a guide to the next generation of men. You certainly are not going to be raising boys who are loose, who are confused, who are, that will obviously form some very key foundations of how you run your family. You'll be intentional with raising your kids. You'll be intentional with what you say to them, how they go through life. So that's why a vision is very important if you want to raise the next generation of children or kids that are impactful to their world. Another important thing you want to focus on is building values in your children. So, if you understand the way the corporate world works, you see that every company has a vision, a mission, and then core values. What do those values do? They frame the mindset that you have and how you approach life generally. And these values we're talking about, whether you're talking about faith, integrity, morals, kindness, all of those things as your values. You are picking those specific values. Not that all of them are not important. All values are good. But the core, the ones you call your core, are because you find that without those very specific ones, you may not truly be able to achieve the vision that you've set. So picking your values is dependent on what you've chosen as your vision. Mine might be integrity, yours might be kindness, not because we don't need both, but because emphasizing those ones are truly important to the fulfillment of your vision. So you want to model it, right? So that your children can catch it. To be honest with you, the best way to teach your kids is to model those values that you want them to imbibe. Talking to them about it, singing it, shouting it, really doesn't cut it. The impact is probably a 20% as opposed to actually living those values so that they see it from you. If you want them to be kind, you show kindness to people. Let them see that the way you interact, live with your neighbors, your community, at work, on the phone, even when you are alone, you model the value of kindness. So children see it as a natural way to behave because they see it in their parents. That's one of the best ways to teach your children whatever you want them to learn. If you want them to be gentle, be gentle. If you want them to learn to read, to learn the habit of reading, read. Don't read away from them. Make sure that you read where they can see, where they understand that, oh, mommy, daddy values reading. Mommy reads a lot. So they pick it. I personally, for one, my love for reading came from my dad. And I don't remember a day he sat down and said, sit down and read. It's just because he loved to read. We had this whole shelf full of books, and I'd see my dad go pick one, sit in a corner and read for hours. He never told us to sit and read. Never, in fact, he used to ban us from picking those books. But when the time came, we used to steal the books to go and read them. So you can imagine he was literally keeping us away from the books because he didn't want them torn and, of course, scattered. But we had picked the love for reading, and even if it meant stealing them, then that's what we did until we're old enough to get our own books and and read on our own. So that's a fantastic way to model the vision. Whatever values you've chosen, make sure that you model it so that your children can take it. Let's talk about nurturing the gifts in your children early. Something very powerful happened to me, and I'll use that as an example for you. So I have specific days that I pray for my children, and all I do that day is just pray for my children. And on one of those days, it happened as I was praying for them, just praying, oh God, bless them, make them great, and whatever. And the Spirit of God said to me that you are the caretaker, but I'm the one who formed them and gave them the purpose for their life. So ask me for wisdom to guide them in their purpose. And that was very unique for me because I had never quite prayed like that. As parents, we all want our children to succeed. And for some of us, we are even unlucky to have parents who were very specific in what they wanted us to succeed in. You must be a doctor. We need a medical doctor in this family. No, we are a family of lawyers. And all of that, But thankfully, we're moving to a generation that's more open, more flexible in allowing children. But beyond that, we need to be even more intentional with how we raise our children, understanding that we are their guiders, we are their guides, we are their caretakers. We are here to help them to evolve into their unique personalities. God has placed something in them. Each of your children are unique and different. Your ability to understand that your role is to help to identify it early in them and expose them and channel them to those areas where their natural giftings and abilities lie is your primary duty in their lives. And as you guide them in that direction, you instill in them the right values, characteristics, and behavior that will help them to thrive in those areas that God has called them to. It's not your place to decide what your child will do. It's your place to discover what God has placed in that child and enable it to rise to its full potential in a way that the child can impact his or her world and be the best version of themselves. That way, you end up raising a whole family of winners, of children who are positioned to become leaders to impact their world. So whatever you did today, and if you've not been doing it before, stop telling your kids what to do or do, and stop equating their abilities. They may not have the same level of ability in the same things. One might be given to academics, one might be given to arts and creativity, one might be given to other sports, athletics. Children are crafted and formed with different gifts. That's not to say you should allow them to fail in particular areas. No, you encourage them to do well generally, but particularly enhance and enable those areas where you see that they are more powerful. And do not let them feel intimidated by the areas they have failed, because that's some things that some parents do wrongly. How could you fail in this? And then you intimidate and chide them so much, they lose their confidence, and then they now become even unable to perform in the area that they are very able to, because they are now afraid to fail or to make a mistake and earn your anger. Now let's talk about prioritizing connections over perfection. What does that mean? As parents, we want to raise our children with the right values, mindset, behaviors. We want them disciplined. You don't want them to embarrass you in public, do the wrong things, mix with the wrong people, all of that. Fantastic, very good. But here's the thing. Let's not lose focus of what's truly important. And that's connection with your children. You want to connect with them on a deep level. You want to see them, and not just see them, you want them to know that you see them. You want them to feel seen and heard. Connect with them, not just with parent to child, but a friend to friend. as they say, right, psychologists say that the early years, like 0 to about 5, I mean, I'm not being specific here, but just giving you a general idea of what they expect. About 0 to 5 is the age where you just love on them, really, really focus more on loving them so that they have that sense that the environment is enabled and they are loved and appreciated and wanted, all of that. Then from 6 or from 5 and to like 10 or whatever, you want to discipline, you want to correct, you want to imbibe the right, values in them. Then anything above that age, you're actually coaching and guiding. You're no longer micromanaging. You're allowing them to show up, but just coaching and guiding to correct, because ideally you should have put in what they ought to know in them in the earlier years. So it kind of tells you that parenting is not a one-size-fits-all, and it's definitely not flogging and shouting and discipline throughout. No, otherwise you lose them at a particular stage in life. So you want to connect with them at a deeper level. You want them to feel like the individuals that they really are. You want to hear them. You want them to feel heard and seen, understood, so that even when they come through challenges in life and they face things, there's this feeling that, oh, I need to go home. I need to talk to my parents, talk to my dad, my mom. I know that once I do that, I'm going to get the clarity I need. I'm going to get the support that I need. I'm going to get this figured out. That is the kind of connection you want to live or have with your kids, so that as they go through life, that won't leave them. The Bible says, train up a child in the way that he should go, so that when he grows, he will not depart from it. That's not just about discipline. It's about even connections. A lot of parents reach a point in life where they find that they practically feel disconnected from their kids. They become adults, and apart from the random phone calls, there's nothing that brings them back together. You don't want to have that result with your child, and that's why you need to build connections early. Let the connection feel natural to them, because you've done it for so long and so well that even when they grow up, they naturally want to reconnect with you. They want to talk to you. They want to, it's not, daddy, mommy, are you okay? Are you fine? I've sent the money, or I'm about to send the money. Bye-bye, goodbye. No, it's deep conversations, because you started that way and they're used to it. Finally, last but not least, let's talk about anchoring your kids in spirituality. And that's the God factor, because in spite of all we try to do, at the end of the day, having them anchored in deep faith and spirituality will set the pace for their true success in life, because it is God who reveals. I mean, scripture is full of examples of people whom God appeared to as a basis for how they transitioned into their purpose and fulfillment. Talk about Samuel, who had that, visitation from God. Look at Mary, even Solomon, right? And they did great things because they had that encounter. But that's because they came from a place where they had the foundation set for them. Imagine if Samuel didn't have the basis he had, the foundation with Eli raising him in a priestly and spiritual setting. It gave him the foundation he needed to have that experience, that visitation with God, and to take it from there to become all that he was meant to be. So setting the right tone and background is very important, because the truth is God will visit each of your children. That is a fact. How he shows up for them may be different, but he does show up, because the time comes when it's time to step into your purpose. There is a visitation from God that you cannot escape. As long as the foundation is set, it will be easier for the child to recognize that visitation, receive the message that it carries, and run with the vision. If that background is not set, then the child may miss the implication or the message or the action that is supposed to flow from that visitation. That comes in different ways. It could be just a realization that I'm meant for more, a deep connection to God, and starts to hear from God and walk in the things of God, or just clarity on what the child is supposed to become. And it's so clear, and I'm wondering, you're so small, how would you know that kind of thing? But if you set the tone right, the child comes into that place, that encounter. It could be a leading deep in the spirit that just comes so strongly, and the child starts going in that direction. You're like, wow, where did that come from? This amount of seriousness, clarity, and focus. It comes to each child differently and at different ages. So saying your younger sister is already, and then your brother is, it doesn't work that way. It comes for each child at different times. But nurturing them and helping them to understand that there is a place for that in their life, because God is the owner of their life, and they are here to do what God has sent them to do. Creates a mindset of expectation that God will connect with them, so that when he does, they realize that they accept it and they run with it, and they can also voice it out for you to know and become aware of and support them in. And on the backdrop of that, as parents, let me just add that if you are not being intentional about praying about your children's purpose and path in life, here's your cue to start today, because the more you pray about it, as parents, we are priests and prophets, right? Priests being the head, the man, prophets being the woman in the home. Priests and prophets over our children. And what are the role of priests and prophets? To keep the people on the path of God, keep them aware of things of God. Prophet brings the message of God. The priest presides over everything and ensures that the environment stays spiritual and people are connected. They stay connected to God. So that's what you should bring to your home and keep over your children. You want to understand, receive the vision for each of your children and preside as priests and prophets. Keep reiterating, keep speaking over them, keep them alive with that vision and that mindset, knowing that they are called to a higher thing. They are called to a higher purpose, so that they don't just live their life reactively, going to school, going to work, getting married, without realizing there is more to their lives than all of those things. Those are just activities. The real calling is in the purpose that has been programmed inside of you. So once you do that, your children grow with that mindset, knowing that there's more to them and more to their lives than the mundane things of living that we all do. So finally, let me leave this with you. And I guess you should write it down because it's really important. You don't have to be a perfect parent to raise children that will be impactful in their generation. You just need to be present, prayerful, and purposeful. That is what you need. There is no perfect parent. There is no perfect parenting. There's just intentional parents, prayerful parents, and purposeful parents. Once you shift your focus from trying to be perfect, getting it right, to allowing yourself to be led, because ultimately the children you are parenting belong to God. You belong to God. So handing it over to God and understanding that there is no perfection in you, but you are willing to listen and be guided so that you are able to guide your children in turn. You have the perfect recipe to raise a generation of leaders. So don't forget, create a vision for your family. Very important in setting the tone and the direction that you go and the goals that you set to achieve as a family. It also helps you to bond, because if everyone gets to understand and know that vision, it drives them for their entire lives. Secondly, remember to connect intentionally with your kids. Ensure that they feel seen, heard, and understood. Treat them as individuals that they are. Don't generalize. Help them to discover and enable and empower the gifts and the different talents that they have on their inside. Remember to ground them in spirituality. Let them know that they are called to a higher purpose, and give yourself some grace. You're not perfect, but you're intentional, you're prayerful, you are acting as a priest, a prophet over your children, and ensuring that you create the enabling environment for them to grow, thrive, and become all that God has called them to do. With all this, you are set to reach children that will make a mark in their world, children who will not only be leaders, but will be influencers for the kingdom and will be a reference point for generations to come. If this blessed you, comment legacy in the comment section. I want to hear your questions. If you have more, drop them in the comment section. I'll respond. Like, subscribe, and set up your notifications to get more powerful messages like this from me. So it's goodbye till I come your way in the next episode. God bless.